In 1977, Australian football took a major step forward. The launch of a national competition known as the Phillips Soccer League. For the first time, clubs across the country were brought together into one league. But from the very beginning, there was one question: would it actually work? This is Beyond the A-League, where we explore the stories, the history, and the moments that shaped football in Australia. And today, we go back to the beginning. Before the season had even settled, officials moved quickly to introduce strict transfer rules. The concern was simple: without control, the competition could fall apart. It was even described as a possible league farce. And beyond the structure, there was another challenge. The league needed support. In key cities like Sydney, it had to be promoted and it had to be accepted. When the season began, it didn't take long for the reality to set in. Results were mixed. Some matches were close. Others were one-sided. Hakawa against Footscray. St George against Brisbane City. Adelaide City against Marconi. The competition had variety, but not consistency. It was still finding its level. But as the season progressed, the bigger challenges started to emerge. Television coverage was uncertain, and without it, the league struggled for exposure. At the same time, changes were already being discussed. Not to improve the football, but to stabilise the competition itself. Because this wasn't a finished league. It was still being built in real time. By mid-season, patterns finally started to appear. Some teams began to settle. Others began to fall behind. Form became clearer. Results became more predictable. And slowly, the competition started to take shape. Not perfectly, but noticeably. At the same time, Australian football was being tested elsewhere. Matches against visiting international clubs provided a different benchmark, a different level, and a clear comparison. These games showed progress, but they also highlighted the gap between the domestic league and the global stage. As the season moved forward, the league table began to settle. Positions became clearer. Teams like Hakawa worked to hold their place near the top. And for the first time, the league started to feel structured. Not chaotic, but competitive. When the season came to an end, it didn't finish with a grand final. There was no single defining match. Just results, tables, and a final set of standings. Because in 1977, the goal wasn't spectacle. It was survival. The Phillips Soccer League wasn't perfect. It wasn't complete. But it did exist. And that alone made it important. Because without 1977, there is no future for the national game in Australia. This has been Beyond the A-League. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel as we continue to explore the history and stories behind the game in Australia. Because there's always more to the story beyond the A-League.